All right, we have our Siemens PLC wired up. We are just about ready to power on. Uh, you should have called me over to check your wiring, just so I can make sure you have the right voltages, you have the right wires in the right spots. But after that, it is time to power on for the first time this S7 1200. So I will power mine up as well. You either just have a plug for the wall, a fuse, a breaker. Um, right now, for this first couple times, it's just a very temporary setup. So, one thing to note, you can see the PLC has powered on. This is actually going to be a good example because I loaned this PLC out last semester. So there's already a program in it that is not mine. And this is probably 90% of you will pick up a PLC in this format, right? There's a bunch of you, there's an afternoon class. So a lot of times the PLCs we're doing something before. Looking at the front here, looking at some of these lights quick. So we have a run stop light that is currently green. Green means it's in run mode. So this PLC has a program in it and it is running. It also has an error light, which is currently flashing red. We will see what is going on once I get connected to it. My assumption is that it is missing some cards on the side. So when someone has used this PLC last and they've had cards attached to the side, and then I take it away and I just use it as a standalone, PLCs get angry about that because they're looking for those cards. So there's that. There's a maintenance light. It's currently off. That is good. Things like battery, memory. This card in the center here, remember, this is my analog extension signal board. We're not paying attention to this. Over here, if I have my inputs wired up correctly, you can see right here, I have a normally closed stop button wired to 0.0. So if I have it correctly, I should see my normally closed inputs. If I hit my red button, which is off to the side here, we can see that green light indicating the input is active, go on and off. At this point, I can also test my green button or my start button, which is wired to 0.1. So without even going into the software, I can tell you that my program or my inputs are wired correctly. One thing to note on the output side, if there's a program in there and they were activated by either one of these inputs I just toggled, something would have started happening in the program. As we can see right now, there's actually an output on right now. Output 06 is on. Now, we don't have anything wired up to 06, so thankfully nothing's happening. But it's probably a best practice to keep your outputs either unplugged, this whole black piece unplugs, or don't fully wire them up until you have your blank program in. You don't need things activating on their own. If I had something wired up to output 0.6 right now, and I flipped that breaker, it would have started moving, extending, running, whatever that may be. So that's kind of a breakdown of the lights on a first power up. All right, let's switch over to the computer screen now. You should still see the PLC down in the bottom left corner. Hopefully that you can follow along and see how the lights change and things like that. So on our desktop here, or from our file explorer, our program search, we want to find TIA Portal version 19. Looks something like this. If you've downloaded it on your own laptop, or you're looking for it on the school laptop, it's normally in a stack, right? I have these three here, just kind of as what came through in that package. The main ones you're concerned about are these two, and really not even this one for the most part, because we have all the licenses and everything on the computers. So mainly it's this TIA Portal version 19. So let's go ahead and open up that. You'll see the launch screen here, and I will cut back in when it's loaded up. All right, the project opened up. We now see our Siemens start screen. From here, we can do a couple different things. Right now, a lot of this is grayed out because we're not currently in a project. We can open an existing project. I have no projects on my computer right now. I have cleared them out to try to look from a fresh start. So if I had a project, I could come over here, click, and I could open right here. We can create a new project. We can migrate projects. So if you have a project on an older version, you can bring it to a newer version. There's a welcome tour here. You could take that just to learn some things to click around and see what installed softwares and some help. But we want a new project. So I'm going to click create a new project. It dumps in project 1. As you go up through, you'll get project 2, 3, 4, 5. But this is when you can rename it. So I'm going to go my first project. You can name it my first project. You can name it project 1. You can name it getting started. Doesn't 100% matter. You can pick where it saves. It automatically saves. It makes a folder in your documents on your hard drive called automation. That's where all of the projects save. You can save it somewhere else, but that's where we're going to save it. We are locked in version 19 because that's what we opened. The author is myself. This gets assigned however you sign into your computer. And if you want to enter a comment about like this program does this or this program is for this, that's where you would do it. But for now, I'm going to hit create. A project with this name already exists. A project with this name already exists. Please use a different name. I bet this is because I tested this project earlier and I thought I deleted it. Let me come up here and put a 1. Actually, what's probably good practice since there's so many of you, let's put our initials at the end, right? So obviously there's a lot of people doing my first project or whatever that is. So I'm going to throw my first project _ CJL, which is my initials. I know no one has created that project. And this project's creating. I will catch back when everything is loaded up. All right, our project loaded up. Like we talked about in the slides, there's 2 different views for Siemens. This is currently in portal view, or we could switch over to project view with this button down here. I'll click over the project view and it will take us over to, like I said, this is where my preferred workstation is. But then down here, we have that portal view where we can go back if we want to. So this is your project. This is your workspace. This is where you're going to program, edit, make tags, etc. So the first thing we have to do is assign this PLC to our project. So out of project view, I'm going to come up here to add a new device. I'm going to double click on that. I am going to come to S7 1200 because that's what we're working on. You can see the 1500 series. You can see drives. You can see the older 300, 400, 200s. So we want an S7 1200. We are trying to connect to a CPU. And we are going to come down and find where we're at. If we look over at mine, I have a 1214C DC, DC, DC. So I'm going to find 1214C. DC, 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 and I'm going to hit this drop down. Now, this is where I said you have to look at the side of the PLC. These numbers are identical, minus 2 numbers in the middle here. This one's 30, 31, and 40. Those are the version numbers of the PLC. So on the side of the PLC here, we can see that. If I look on mine, I have 40. So I'm going to click 40. It's going to populate a version and a serial number. I'm going to hit OK. That will load your PLC into your project, and I will cut back when we are ready to try to connect. All right, my PLC has loaded into my project. Remember, I'm using a 1214C. You will most likely be using a 1212. We have some 1212, 1214, 1215. I believe that is it as far as the S7 1200s. You may use any of the above for this first test, but just notice there's some different clicks depending on which one you use, but the process, the setup is exactly the same. So we can see here, we have our PLC now on our project tree. We can open and expand that. We can see it is PLC 1. There's only one PLC on the network. We can see CPU 1214C, DC, DC, DC. And we can see this here. One advantage of the 1214 is the card number. See, I can add 9 of those modules on the side. I believe the 12 is only 3 or 4. But that's just the difference in hardware. One cool thing, before we try to go online with this, you can see we have a graphic of our PLC here. If we control, let's see, if we, let me click in there. If we control scroll wheel, or we can zoom down here, we can zoom in on this processor, and it actually gives us what our I/O addresses are for each one. So if you're ever curious, oh, I know I'm going to go to 0.0 right here. Well, that's going to be I0.0. Down here, Q0.0. And actually, when you address your tags, these will change to say from the tag number to green light or green button. So you can actually always zoom in here and see stuff like that. So that's pretty cool. Let's zoom back out for the purpose of this, and we want to go online. We want to connect with this thing. We want to load a blank program in. If we come down this project tree here, we can see a bunch of different tasks. We can see PLC tags, which we're not going to have any right now, but we could show all tags and see that we don't have any. We can go to our program block. Program blocks is where all of our programs live. You are going to have a main OB1 to start. This is where you can make your starter program. We will learn about all of these next week or the following, probably next week. We will learn about all of these and adding a new block. But right now, just work out of the main. You can see here we have a rung of logic with nothing on it, and we have some instructions up here ready to go. Also over here on the side, we have all of the instructions that we can take a deeper dive into. But we just want a blank program right now. So if we click on our processor right here, remember I said we can download 2 ways. We have a download button up here with the arrow pointing down, download. We can hit that, or we can right click down here and we can download here as well. This one gives us a couple of different download options. And I normally work out of this one up here. I normally work out of here, and if there's any errors, then I come back and do a more detailed download. So let's go ahead and just hit this button here and see what happens. Hopefully we can run into some errors just so we can talk through some of those in case you have them. But our luck here, this is going to work perfectly the first time. So here we have our extended download screen. This is our laptop. We as the programmer told the laptop, you should be looking for a device called PLC1. It should be a CPU 1214C DC DC DC, and it should have this IP address. It may not. We can change it if it does. So down here, we are on the PNIE for Ethernet. And right here, this is where you want to pick what internet controller you're using. So we're not over Wi-Fi, right? We're not over a VM, a virtual machine. I believe this is my laptop right here. You should probably not have this many options. I have a lot of other. I have some VMs running on this computer. I'm also on a docking station, which I believe this is. So we want to go here. I want the port that is on the side of the laptop. And you can see it started loading. It is currently trying to look for a PLC. And it looks like it's picking it up. There's an IP address dumped in there. And it's attempting to establish connection. And hopefully it does fully establish connection. If it doesn't, that's okay. We can go about this a different way. I'm going to cut the video and let this work. I will be back once this is done. Oh, there it is. Sorry, I will not cut. There we go. So see, we see a PLC1. We see a device name. We have an IP address. Everything has completed. It has found one problem. Oh, we'll get to that. There is this button right here. See, it says flash LED. We can click this button, and that should flash the lights, all different colors on the front of the processor. See right there, we can see them all flashing, all different colors. So we know that we are physically communicating to this now. So we can click on this, and we can hit load. Here's that assign IP address that I said will pop up. It wants the computer and the PLC to be on the same network. So we're going to hit yes. All right, let's go online with this thing. Let's download to it. Let's get ready to start programming. So let's go ahead and click in our logic here. Remember, we can download two ways. We can go right click here, or we can go from up here. I like this button up here, so let's start with that. So after we went through finding our device and connecting and looking at it, we get this screen before we load. You can see here I have a couple red. Nothing can be red, or else this does not highlight down here. So this first one right here is just saying that, hey, I'm going to stop the PLC. If you remember, we have an output on over here. So the PLC is doing something, and we're okay with that. So we can stop all. We also have a compile error that says a different project version and offline. That could just be we did 4.6 and it's 4.5.8. We're just going to check that to make that right. So now you see we are all blue check marks, all not red over here, and we can load. So I hit load, and now we're going to attempt to download. So it looks like our download was completed without errors. Now we are going to start all modules, meaning we're going to start the PLC back up again. You can see over here, we still have this error light, which we'll get to, but now our stop run light is orange. So we can hit finish. And down here, it looks like we finished successfully. So we should be able to click this button right here to go online and see all of our green pop up. All right, so all of our green circles are up, meaning that our program and all of our tags are the same, but we're not green over here, and that's because of that error. So let's clear that error. So maybe you're good to go, and maybe now you're ready to stop programming. So let me go into here. Let me right click on this PLC. Let me go to, actually not right click. Let me go to online and diagnostics right here. And we should be able to go to diagnostic status. And here we go. So this is actually a really good one to see. Module exists, faulty. Lower level component, fault. Remember I was saying earlier that the person who programmed this last may have had modules stacked on the side of here. Well, now I do not. Well, this PLC is still looking for those. So what I need to do here, and the best fix I found for this, is a factory reset. So if I come down here to function, and if I come down here to factory reset, I can factory reset this PLC back to factory, which I'm going to do now. And this is going to reset the whole PLC and take any modules that are attached to it off. Obviously, it's going to stop the PLC. We're okay with that. And it's probably going to kick us offline here as it does that. You can see over here, we have lost our error light. We have a orange light again, meaning the PLC is stopped. So Let's click on this PLC again, and let's try to go back online now. So we have our green lights over here, but now we've gained our orange lights back. So that just wants us to do another download since hey, you haven't downloaded into this PLC because you just factory reset it. So let's hit our download button. It's going to ask us to compile first. So that is this button right here. So we are going to compile. And it is giving me an error for password. Let's click here. I don't need a password on this computer. No access. So I'm just going to go full access. So maybe that was in the reset that it went no access, complete protection. I'm going to go full access. I don't need this protected like that. So I'm going to hit compile again. And see down here, we should be good. It is compiled with no errors and one warning. That warning was that it just doesn't contain a protection level. We are okay with that, so we can hit download. And once again, it says, hey, there's no protection on here. That's fine. And we are going to load. It's already stopped, so that's why it didn't ask us to stop the PLC. And we can start all modules and hit finish. We can see over here, we have a green light now. We can come up here and go online. And look at that. Everything is green. Everything is good. You are fully online, fully connected, and ready to program.